Good morning and welcome to Yesterday's Airlines. And in this video we're going to take a look at Dragon Wings and JetX. Now Dragon and JetX get a lot of stick nowadays in 400 scale from people who frankly don't really know what they're talking about. Especially problematic for a lot of newer collectors is the fact that Dragon and JetX used plastic components for some of their models. You know, in this video I plan on showing you why you should not be spurning Dragon and JetX in totality. Yeah, they made some models which look a bit old-fashioned nowadays, but they also made some models which, still look spectacular. So, in this video we'll have a look at some of the cream of the crop models which really still have yet to be, in many ways beaten in 400 scale. And unless you've got a really, really boring collection made up entirely of 787s and A350s and such, then really you ought to be buying a few Dragon and JetX on the seconds market, especially because often they're stupidly cheap. So as I say, in this video we're going to have a look around some of the best molds that Dragon made and show you why those molds are really very good. So we'll start off with the classic 747. As you can see, we've got here a Northwest Orient 747, and it is a wonderful model and a really, really nice mold. And in many ways, this mold is still yet to be surpassed in 400 scale, partly because it is seamless. There's only been one other seamless 747 classic mold made, and that was made only in small numbers by Witty Wings, AV400 or whatever they were calling themselves at the time. Almost all the other 747 molds that exist, either as classics or 400s, have a large seam here because they're cradle mount. One of the great things about Dragon molds is they never ever made cradle mount molds. Right from the start, they had slot-in wings, and that's partly because, as people complain about, they have plastic wings. But really, can you even tell that the wings are plastic here? I don't think you can. The wings look great, and the plastic in these earlier models, it shows and enables quite high quality etching work, which at the time was actually quite difficult to achieve in metal. Now this model dates from near the start of production of 400 scales, and it still looks beautiful to this day. There's really nothing wrong with this mold. It's really very nice, and when Dragon got their printing right, then it was top notch, and in this model is particularly impressive and really nice chrome finish as well. So there's absolutely no reason not to be buying Dragon 747s as long as they printed the cockpit windows properly, and sometimes they didn't, but on this model the cockpit looks spectacular. Now, one of the things that people do complain about outside of the plastic wings is the undercarriage, and obviously these models date from turn of the century often, and so the undercarriage isn't as fine as it would be, and obviously doesn't have rolling keys, but really it doesn't make a dramatic difference on a model like this 747, and the undercarriage looks good. And obviously the other thing that you can always do with Dragon models is you can actually take the undercarriage out and have it shown with the undercarriage up and put on the stand, because obviously also all Dragon models came with a stand like that, which is actually a pretty nice stand. So there's not really any reason why you shouldn't be buying these 747s. They give you a huge amount of flexibility and actually very nice. So that's the first mold, which I think Dragon still has got an excellent offering for. So moving on to another type which Dragon did an excellent job on, and that's the McDonnell Douglas DC-10. Dragon, has got a really nice selection of DC-10 molds, and they were the first manufacturer to actually push out not just DC-1030s, but also, as in this case, a DC-1010, and they also did a DC-1040 well before anyone else had done so, and they did a good job. This DC-1010 actually is a DC-1010. The wing is correct. It's shorter than the wing on the DC-1030, which nobody in the rest of the scales was doing at the time, and really haven't done to date either. Almost everybody just reuses the DC-1030 wing for their DC-1010. So, Dragon took a lot of attention to detail on quite a few of these molds. The same can be said for their Tristar 500, which you can see in the background. We'll talk about in a minute. They put a lot of effort in, and the molds are often quite accurate. This is actually a really nice DC-10 again, and when you get well-printed examples like this Hawaii Express one, then, there's no sensible reason not to be acquiring them. In fact, this model is relatively rare and quite highly sought after still. It's actually a JetX release, not Dragon, but for the first couple of years of their existence, the first 4 or 5 years, then JetX exclusively use Dragon Wings molds. So, you know, JetX, Dragon, they're effectively the same. You get the same presentation, and, you know, they're all made in the same factory. So again, the DC-10 is a really, really nice model. You really can't tell that there are plastic components. Yeah, they are plastic. So what? You can't tell. It looks the same. And, you know, Dragon Wings models typically also have not suffered from zinc rot at all either. So I can highly recommend Dragon DC-10s again. They're really nice. And as I was saying, you know, in terms of the DC-10, the same goes for the Tristar 500. Dragon have got a lovely 500, and until NG models came along in 2019, then it was the most accurate Tristar 500. It's the only one which replicates the proper forward and aft bearings. It's the only one that replicates the longer wings of the Tristar 500. You know, it's the only one that accurately is a Tristar 500. So there's, again, no reason why you shouldn't be acquiring these beautiful models like the United here and the Pan Am, which are better than the Loch Ness versions and better than the Gemini versions, which have come out just recently. So really, again, Dragon aced the Tristar. It's a shame they didn't use it as much as they could have done to produce more, but it's better than all the molds that came later until the NG models one. So again, these are actually really, really good models, and there's no reason to be looking at a Dragon Tristar and going, hey, actually, I don't think that's good enough, unless, of course, NG have made it, in which case the NG version is likely to be better. Now, Dragon was prolific in this period from about 99, 2000, all the way up until about 2014, 2015. They made a lot of models, and often the earlier models are better than the later ones, to be honest, and they certainly made more in that early phase up to about 2008, 2009. And it's not like they just had one or two decent molds. They had quite a few good molds that still stand up really well. And again, another mold which looks really good still and, you know, is massively underrepresented as a type in 400 scale is the McDonnell Douglas MD-80. I just recently picked up this Swissair example, and frankly, it's a beautiful model. It's really, really, really nice. And again, you know, you look at it from the side, it looks lovely. You look at it, the printing is great, especially for the era. On the time it came on, the printing is very nice. There's a lot of little detail printing here going on here along the fuselage, you know. They put a lot of effort into these models, and they did a good job. And it's a really nice early pointy tail MD-80. It's a great mold. Dragon and JetX MD-80s are really nice aircraft and should definitely be part of your fleet. You know, there's no reason to not be acquiring these models. In fact, you know, if you're looking for MD-80s, you really don't have a lot of choice anyway, because there are so few that have been made in 400 scale. And even, you know, really obvious choices like this Swissair in the chocolate stripe scheme have not been remade by anybody else. So it's a crying shame. We need more MD-80s. But in the meantime, you know, these Dragon models are really, really very nice. So I can't see any reason not to keep on picking these up. I'm especially happy to have acquired this one, which is quite hard to find. Another good mold, which is, you know, relatively easy to find, made by Dragon, is their 767s. And again, these are nice models, and they still stand up quite nicely compared even to the recent era classics. You know, they've got quite nice undercarriage, actually. It's all sized well. Again, a beautiful seamless mold, really nice printing, and a really nice level of detail as well. And there's nothing wrong with the plastic wings. They really don't make an ounce of difference. It's a really nice model. Obviously, you know, it would be nice to have slightly more modern undercarriage, but in many ways, this undercarriage is a bit nicer than Aero Classics managed. So, yeah, they're really good. It stands up really well. It's got that seamless fuselage, which the Gemini 767 doesn't have. They're really, really good models. And it's not just these 5 molds that I've shown you here, the 767, the Tristar, the DC-10, the MD-80 and the 747. It's not just those models which have this air quality. All Dragon models had really nice printing for their time, really often very good molds. Now, not all their molds are great, obviously, and just like any manufacturer, and their Airbus molds are typically a bit weak. The A300 is okay, the A330, A340 are pretty rubbish. But there are lots of other molds which are good and well worth collecting. They've got a classic Constellation, which is quite nice. You've got some 737s, which can vary between, you know, nice and not so nice, depending on how the undercarriage looks. They've still got probably the best MD-11 that's been made. They've got an OK Concorde. You know, they've got 727s, which many collectors really like. I think that Dragon is very unfairly maligned in the scale nowadays by people, frankly, who often don't really know what they're talking about. You know, these models are as good as pretty much any models that were being made in the pre-2010 period, and certainly do not deserve to get, you know, bad-mouthed by new collectors who expect, I don't know, the sort of printing detail on a model made in 1999 that they get on a model made in 2020, or expect rolling gear, or expect aerials all over the place. You know, I mean, in reality, nobody was able to deliver that kind of quality at the time these were made, and these models still stand up really well today. So, you know, basically what I'm saying here is, you know, don't ignore these older brands, especially not Dragon. They produced a really diverse range of models, some really nice stuff, and on some really great molds, which were all seamless, which nobody else was trying at the time, and, you know, really could finish models exceptionally well, and especially these rather nice chrome efforts. So, you know, keep an eye for Dragon models. They can often be acquired for very cheap prices, you know, in the $15–20 range. So they're a bargain, and any collection of any number that's looking at models or aircraft from before 2010, you know, is gonna feature a selection of Dragon models. You just got to pick the right ones, and, you know, and you're away. So anyway, thanks for watching. As always, if you like this content and you appreciate the video, then leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out Yesterday's Airlines for loads more on these sort of topics, model news and reviews. And I'll see you later. Thanks.